Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into the mind of Lorgar. Lorgar Aurelian, Trimarch of the Word-Bearers. During the Horus heresy.
Big topic.
Huge. And to get into all this, we'll mainly be using Aurelian.
The novel by Dembski-Bowden.
Right?
Yeah.
Fascinating look at Lorgar, how he goes from this super devout follower of the Emperor to, well, champion of chaos.
Not a simple journey.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And for those who might not be super familiar with Warhammer 40K, the Horus Heresy, well, it's this massive galactic civil war between like factions of these genetically engineered super soldiers, the Primarchs.
And Lorgar, he's right in the thick of it. Pivotal role, really.
Exactly. So we start with Lorgar, right? This incredibly devout follower of the Emperor. He builds this huge religious movement, truly believes he's doing the Emperor's work.
But then the Emperor rejects him.
Yeah, rebukes him, criticizes him for focusing on faith instead of conquest. Lorgar's world shattered.
Imagine your entire belief system, your understanding of everything, torn down by the very figure you worship as a god.
Brutal. And there's this scene in the novel, powerful scene, Lorgar overlooking his burning city, Monarchia, destroyed by the Emperor's forces, punishment for Lorgar's religious zeal.
Harsh.
Totally. And he's standing there with his mentor, Corferon. Such a contrast. Lorgar is heartbroken, longing for peaceful conversion.
It's a Corferon.
Totally different. All about force. Crushing anyone who resists. He even says the truth is power. The ignorant and the weak must be dragged into the light no matter the cost. It doesn't matter how many bleed and cry out on the way. Chilling.
Foreshadowing. Big time. The seeds of the Word-Bearers' future, their fanaticism, brutal methods, all there.
Yeah. And at this point, Lorgar's still struggling, trying to reconcile peace with, well, the galaxy's harsh realities.
And what does he do?
He embarks on this pilgrimage through the warp, chaotic dimension, reflecting his inner turmoil, really.
He ends up
On Shanriatha, desolate world, barren, and meets a demon in Githal.
The demon becomes his guide.
Shows him visions, reveals hidden truths, the whole deal.
Shanriatha itself. Harsh place, unforgiving, almost like a physical manifestation of the warp's chaos.
And Ingithal, a demon, embodiment of the warp's power, to twist, to distort.
Reality.
Seductive power.
They come across these ruins, well, on Shanriatha, of an Eldar craft world, Zulasa. 200,000 Eldar souls perished there.
A tragedy.
But Lorgar, no remorse, none. He sees the Eldar, these Xenos, aliens, as ignorant, unworthy of sympathy. He says the warp is the end of all spirits. It is the destination of every soul.
His worldview, it's evolving, shifting.
Those who don't embrace his truth, destined for oblivion. And then it gets even more intense. He encounters the avatar of Cain.
The Eldar war god.
Weak in state, sure, but still a god. And Lorgar destroys it, utters this chilling line, even a god may die.
Foreshadowing again.
If a god can fall, why not the Emperor?
Right. This encounter is a turning point. Lorgar questions everything. The established order, the foundations of his beliefs, and Ingithal, that manipulator, uses this doubt to guide Lorgar further, down the path of chaos. And then, boom, Ingithal hits him with a vision of the future, the Eternity Gate, entrance to the Emperor's inner sanctum, under siege.
And who's leading the attack?
Word-bearers, Lorgar's own legion, twisted, corrupted, fighting against the very Imperium they swore to protect, alongside demons, hordes of them.
And at the forefront,
Argel, Lorgar's son, transformed into this monstrous demonic champion. Ingithal drives the point home, says, they are no longer the bearers of the Emperor's word, Lorgar. They are the bearers of yours.
Wow. No longer a pawn. He sees the consequences, his choices, direct, terrifying.
Yeah, heavy stuff. And this journey, well, takes him to Tisca, ruined city, homeworld of Magnus and the Thousand Sons.
And Thousand Sons, another legion. And Magnus, another Primarch.
Right, and Tisca. Chilling example of what happens when a Primarch and his legion fall to chaos.
A cautionary tale.
He meets a mutated Thousand Son there, Hajin, perception of time warped, body twisted by chaos. He says, this place, this world, it has altered so many of us. The powers bless us, my lord.
It's the price of power.
Humanity transformed into something.
Oh no, the name is Magnus.
But it's not the Magnus we know. 50 years in the future. Broken shell. Consumed by the very forces Lorgar is trying to understand. Stark contrast. Lorgar's full of conviction, newfound purpose. Magnus, a warning of what happens when you go too deep.
A cautionary tale.
Raises the question, is Lorgar truly seeking enlightenment for humanity, as he claims? Or is it all about him, his need for validation, to replace his shattered faith in the Emperor with something new, something more powerful?
Big questions.
Huge. And then, just like that, he's back in the present. tense meeting with Horus, the War Master, already on the path of rebellion. But Lorgar's insistent on his own goals, his own truth. He says, I have seen horrors and truth you are only now beginning to imagine, Horus. It is you who should be trusting me.
Unwavering belief.
Leading him to do something, well, audacious. He kidnaps an entire company of Emperor's children, needs info about the missing Primarch, Fulgrim. And he's not afraid to use force to get it.
A change in tact.
He's changing. And this leads him face to face with the entity controlling Fulgrim's body.
A demon.
Fulgrim, possessed by a demon. That's insane. But Lorgar seems to be the only one who realizes what's going on.
The other Primarchs, they're clueless at first. But Lorgar, he sees through the facade the demonic presence within Fulgrim, a violation, a desecration.
Lorgar compares it to his Galvorbak, those word-bearers who merged with demons, but insists this is different. Desecration, blasphemy, not ascension, he says.
Interesting distinction.
He's not against chaos entirely, just the wrong kind of chaos. There's a right way and a wrong way.
Nuance makes Lorgar such a compelling character. He's not just a power-hungry villain. He believes he's doing the right thing, even if his actions are, well, extreme.
But back to the demon-possessed Fulgrim. Lorgar threatens the demon, restrains him physically, not his usual calm self.
Shows how deeply this affects him. This violation. He's willing to use force to protect what he sees as sacred.
Horus tries to downplay everything, admits he knew about Fulgrim all along, but kept quiet. Pragmatic, huh? And it shows the rift between them. Horus, focused on rebellion, the means to an end. Lorgar, fixated on the spiritual implications, the right way to do things.
Two very different approaches.
Before they split, Lorgar has this cryptic conversation with Magnus. Psychic projection. Hints at a dark future for the Thousand Sons, warns him about the flesh change, the mutations plaguing his legion.
Remember those visions? Ruined Tizca.
Yeah, this confirms it. Lorgar's being shown this terrifying future. His brothers, their legions, falling to chaos, consumed by the very powers he's trying to understand.
And then Angron.
Right, Angron. Primarch of the World Eaters, force of nature, rage and pain. They're meeting, electric, full of tension. Lorgar tries to appeal to Angron's sense of, well, brotherhood. They both struggled. Faced rejection from the Emperor. He even tells Angron, you resent me, Angron, because you know I am right.
Bold statement.
But Angron doesn't buy it.
Yeah.
Mocks Lorgar's new faith. Calls him a priest.
Clash of personalities. Disagreement about power and victory.
Lorgar fails to win him over, setting the stage for future conflict. But Lorgar's undeterred, convinced he's right, even if it means going it alone.
He needs more power, more allies.
And that's where he does something drastic. Intercepts a group of Emperor's children, led by Captain Damaris Exalian, demands Fulgrim's location. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Assertive, direct.
Leading to the confrontation with the entity controlling Fulgrim in front of a painting, La Fenice.
Interesting choice of setting.
It depicts Fulgrim standing before a giant fiery phoenix. Beauty and destruction, almost a metaphor for Fulgrim's transformation.
Or he's poetic.
The demon taunts Lorgar, points out the hollowness of Fulgrim's glory, tries to use Lorgar's insecurities against him. His past hurts.
A manipulator.
But Lorgar sees through it, claims to see more than the demon realizes. Enjoy your stewardship while it lasts, he says, like he knows something the demon doesn't. Chilling. Lorgar's playing a dangerous game, his true intentions unclear. He leaves the demon with a warning. If you think to relish all of eternity while playing puppeteer to my brother's bones, you will find yourself fatally disappointed one night. He has a plan.
A long game.
He rejoins Argeltal, his son. Together they prepare for the Council of Sanctity, where Lorgar will reveal his vision, his new faith. In chaos, tells Argeltal, there's a great difference between glory and sacrifice, Argeltal. Difficult choices ahead.
Big choices.
Glory or sacrifice? Will he choose personal vengeance? Or a higher purpose, even if it means darkness? Destruction? We'll have to wait for Part 2 to find out. Join us next time as we continue our deep dive into Aurelian, exploring the twists and turns of Lorgar's path to chaos. Back again. Last time, we left Lorgar with this huge choice, right? Personal glory, vengeance, against his brother Guilliman, or this divine destiny through chaos, even if it means, sacrifice, maybe even defeat.
Big stakes, galaxy level.
And all those visions he's seen.
Yeah.
It's a lot to handle. So we pick up with Lorgar, haunted by those visions, the ones with his legion attacking the Emperor's palace, remember?
Yeah, those were intense.
He wants answers, needs them, really.
Yeah.
And Gelfalo, that slippery demon, well, he takes Lorgar somewhere new. in the warp.
Another layer of reality.
This nameless world, volcanic ash everywhere, oppressive, like something wrong happened there.
And that something is?
The destruction of Prospero, the Thousand Suns' homeworld.
Whoa! The very place from Lorgar's vision.
Exactly. Like he's being forced to confront the consequences.
Yeah.
Before making the choice.
Heavy.
Totally. And Ingathol, he even says it, like flat out. Tisca will burn in the crucible of the coming war. It must be so. But Lorgar, he refuses to accept it.
He still believes he can change things.
Thinks he can warn Magnus, prevent the destruction, control the future, you know.
But Ingathol, he has a different view.
Says it's all part of Magnus's illumination. His turn to chaos. Like it's destiny, all preordained.
Determinism. Lorgar's drawn to that idea, that the future's set no matter what he does.
Yeah. And they find Hazjane again. Remember him? Mutated Thousand Sun. Even more warped now. But he still sees those mutations as, like, blessings, not curses.
Reinforces Lorgar's belief that chaos isn't, like, inherently evil.
Right. A force of change, power, transcendence, even if it means suffering. And finally, they reach Magnus in his ruined tower.
Not the same Magnus, though.
50 years in the future, remember. Broken, disillusioned, aged, consumed by the very forces Lorgar's, well, flirting with.
Stark contrast.
Lorgar's got this newfound conviction. Purpose. Magnus. Lost everything. Home. Legion. His very self. A warning about going too deep. Lorgar tries to convince him. But the truth he's found says the great crusade is over. The true holy war begins now. Offering a chance at redemption, maybe? A new path to power?
But Magnus, he's dismissive, broken.
Orders Lorgar to leave. A blow, right? He came seeking guidance. Validation. Finds a broken man instead. And after that, last talk with Ingathol. The demon's weak now. At the end of its form, I guess. Lorgar needs answers. How much of what he saw was true? And Ingathol's answer, cryptic. All of it, or none, or perhaps something in between.
Profound. And Sari, right?
Like the future's not fixed, but every choice has consequences. Heavy stuff. But then the Chaos Gods themselves step in.
Direct intervention.
They send Kairos Fate Weaver, another demon, to offer Lorgar a final choice.
A choice to decide the fate of the galaxy.
Wow. What's the choice?
Glory. Personal glory. Lorgar kills Guilliman. At the Battle of Calth. Revenge. Striking back at those who wronged him. But there is another option. Divine destiny. A greater victory for chaos. But it might mean sacrifice. Maybe even defeat.
Vengeance or a higher purpose. Tough one.
And to make it harder, Kairos shows Lorgar a vision. Guilliman's death. At Calth.
Brutal. Lorgar consumed by vengeance, crushing his brother's hand, taunting him as he dies.
Temptation and warning all in one, showing the power, the satisfaction of revenge, but also the darkness within Lorgar, how easy it would be to give in to hatred, violence.
And that's where Aurelian leaves us. Lorgar, wrestling with this impossible choice. He's seen the truth, the terrible possibilities, the weight of his choices. Personal glory or sacrifice. Vengeance or a higher purpose. We'll have to wait for the next book to see what he decides. Back again. We left Lorgar facing this massive dilemma, right? Personal glory, vengeance against Guilliman, or this path of divine destiny. A win for chaos, but with sacrifice, maybe even defeat. And after all those visions, it's got to mess with you.
Yeah, shakes your foundations.
Totally. So what does he do? How does Lorgar reconcile all this, with wanting to uplift humanity?
That's the heart of it all, right? And the answer in Aurelian, well, it's not a simple one. No sudden change of heart for Lorgar, no big epiphany. He's wrestling with all of it. Doubts, fears, ambitions, the whole deal.
So no snap decision.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
No. He's stuck between those two powerful forces, On the one hand, the personal need for revenge, all that humiliation from the Emperor. Then there's this growing belief in, a destiny set by the Chaos Gods. He wants to be in control, making his own choices. But the visions, those whispers from the demons, it's like he's being led towards a specific end.
Trying to balance free will and fate, huh? His own desires versus, the will of these chaotic beings. Does he ever find that balance, though?
That's what's so fascinating about Lorgar. He never really resolves it, not fully. It's a struggle that runs through the whole novel, and even beyond, into the Horus heresy itself,
So how does all this play out in the final part of Aurelian?
We see him getting ready for the war that's coming, the one that'll rip the Imperium apart. Gathering allies, consolidating his power, starting to preach about chaos to his followers. He's convinced, truly convinced, that he's found the right path to enlightenment, to lift humanity up. But then there are these moments, flashes, where you see the doubt creep back in. He questions things, the methods, the sacrifices, all the potential for destruction.
Like he's got to convince himself as much as his followers.
Exactly. He needs to believe it. That embracing chaos, this whole path he's on, it's really for humanity's good.
And that's the tragedy of it, right? Lorgar is not some evil mastermind cackling over chaos.
Yeah.
He believes, truly believes, that he's doing the right thing, even if it leads to all this suffering. He's a Zvolit, a fanatic with a warped sense of, well, righteousness. So where does Aurelian leave him? What's his final decision?
The book doesn't give us a clear-cut answer. We see him taking actions, sure, things that line up with the chaos god's plans. But there's always this lingering doubt, the internal conflict. It's still there, that choice. Glory versus destiny, it's unresolved.
It's like the author's leaving it up to us.
In a way, yeah. Are we seeing a true believer? Someone willing to give up everything for his faith? Or is he being played, a pawn in some cosmic game he doesn't even understand?
It makes you think.
And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting, right? No easy answers with Lorgar. No clear-cut good guys or bad guys. It's a story about faith, betrayal, ambition, that seductive pull of chaos. It asks us to think about what we believe, the choices we make when things are tough, the potential for both good and evil inside us all.
Some heavy stuff to ponder. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Aurelian and the mind of Lorgar Aurelian. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.